We can always tell when somebody's from Washington because they walk in and they immediately beeline to this wall. It's like a smorgasbord of everything that they can't have over there. We're about a mile outside of the state of Washington. We follow all federal laws, we follow all Idaho state laws, but it is legal in Idaho to buy certain things as an adult that maybe you can't buy in Washington. We're seeing people wanting to make the drive solely just to experience a little bit of freedom, the freedom that they lost in Washington. It's wonderful, it's awesome.
Idaho is a migration magnet.
It was growing at a breakneck speed.
Idaho as a whole continues to grow.
People are moving out of Washington, followed by California, pushed out
Idaho
of their
ranked highest in
neighborhoods.
population growth in the last decade.
Agricultural land lost, fueled by population growth.
Who are the people moving here?
My name is Brian Zielinski, and I'm the owner of North Idaho Arms here in beautiful Post Falls, Idaho. I grew up in Western Washington, born and raised in Lakewood, Washington. I've been in retail for the last 28 years, but for the last 3.5 years, I had the opportunity to be the general manager of one of the largest independently owned gun shops in Western Washington. And I learned so much about the industry. I learned so much about what really kind of makes people tick, what gets people excited. But more importantly, I got to spend a lot of time in Olympia down at the state capitol and get to see what was happening, what the liberals were wanting to do when it came to gun control in Washington state. So now fast forward 3 years and you get some of the most restrictive gun control in the United States is now in Western Washington. And that all happened in the space of less than 3 years.
This bill prohibits the sale, import, distribution, or manufacture of any military-style assault or weapon in the state of Washington starting today. I'm happy to say that today.
And with my job in the firearms industry, I really got to see how bad things were starting to get. And so we finally reached a kind of a crescendo, and in June of last year, we actually made the move, and here we are. They've brought in the magazine ban, what the law calls high-capacity magazines, anything over 10 rounds. They didn't ban it from the consumer, and this is the big thing. They didn't ban possession. They banned the commerce side of it. They banned the ability for the consumer to go out and buy the product. That allowed the politicians to look right at their constituents and say, we didn't ban anything. We didn't take anything from you. We're simply trying to protect you from gun dealers, which we know is a fallacy because they tried for 7 years to get a magazine ban, and for 7 years their own party couldn't pass it. So they finally had to resort to Consumer Protection Act law. Once they saw that worked with the magazine ban, they went on to their assault weapons ban, where they banned, certain firearms just basically based on looks and the way that they worked. Again, not illegal to own, not illegal to use, but illegal to buy, purchase, sell. Banned in Washington. They don't trust their own citizenry. We get a lot of customers from Spokane and the immediate vicinity, 30, 40 miles away. Fridays and Saturdays, we usually see 3 or 4 different customers drive over from Seattle, Vancouver, Bellingham, Bainbridge Island. I am selling products that are 100% legal to adults in the state of Idaho. I don't card anybody for anything unless there's a serial number on it. Obviously, we do all federal background checks in compliance with the federal government. We do all state background checks in compliance with the state of Idaho. But if somebody wants to come in and give me $20 or $30 for a magazine or a part for their AR-15, I'm not carding them for that. At the end of the day, it is on the consumer to make sure that they're not breaking the laws of their home state. If you and I were to drive 3 miles into Washington, we would hit one of the state's largest marijuana dispensaries. And I promise you that 90% of the vehicles in that parking lot have Idaho plates on them. So, same.
A state judge has ruled the ban on high-capacity magazines is unconstitutional.
But 88 minutes later, the Attorney General got an emergency stay
the ban back in place.
So for 3 weeks, I had hundreds of clients reach out to me, and we had sold magazines, prepackaged, prepaid, and the commitment to the customer was that the minute the injunction happens, that we were going to get into Washington, legally import those boxes, and get those mailed out. The injunction lasted 88 minutes. We got 147 boxes out. I think at this point we're the largest importer of magazines into the state of Washington legally, and I know that we have some happy customers because we've heard from all of them. Gun laws are great in Idaho. What I would like to see and what we want to talk about in the future is looking at that Consumer Protection Act, right? This is how the Bloomberg Group and the Giffords Group and all these anti-gun organizations, this is their agenda and how they're going to start pushing this into conservative states, is using Consumer Protection Act law and trying to use commerce laws to bankrupt and take away ability of consumers. My goal is to help the state of Idaho make it illegal for the state to use Consumer Protection Act laws against its own citizenry when it comes to the Second Amendment. And I would challenge all conservatives throughout the United States to enact anti-Consumer Protection Act laws when it comes to stifling the Second Amendment. I've learned from the mistakes of Washington, if we can safeguard Idaho against this liberal mindset, this liberal disease that's moving its way this way, I think we could be the beacon that other conservative states see and go, wow, we want to be more like Idaho.